Hare Krishna. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 27, Text 17 and 18. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Uh, okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Once again, we're reading from Canto 3, Chapter 27, text number 17. The chapter is titled Understanding the Material Nature. So far, Kapila Dev has spoken. And now Mother Devahuti, after a long time, initially she had some questions, then Kapila Dev answered them, and now after a long time, this is her very first question. So 17 through 20, she will be asking some questions. So text 17. Devahutiruvacha Purusham Prakritirbrahman Navimunchati Karhichit Anyonyapashrayatvarcha Nityadvad Anayo Prabho. Devahutiruvacha Purusham Prakritirbrahman Navimunchati Karhichit Anyonyapashrayatvacha Nityatvad Anayo Prabho. Devahutiruvacha Purusham Prakritirbrahman न विमुञ्चति कर्हिचित् अन्योन्यापाश्रयत्वाच्च नित्यत्वाद् अनयो प्रभो. Devahuti. I'm going to stop sharing and then share again. Okay. Devahuti Uvacha. Devahuti said, Purusham, the spirit soul, Prakriti, material nature, Brahman, O Brahmana, Na, not, Vimunchati, does release, Karhichit, at any time, Anyonya, to one another, Apashrayatvat, from attraction, Nityatvat, from eternally, Anayoho, of them both, Prabho, O my Lord. Translation. Sri Devahuti inquired, My dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is their separation possible? Purport. Devahuti, the mother of Kapiladev, here makes her first inquiry. Although one may understand that spirit, soul, and matter are different, their actual separation is not possible, either by philosophical speculation or by proper understanding. The spirit soul is marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, and the matter is external potency of the Lord. These two eternal potencies have somehow or other been combined, and since it is so difficult to separate one from the other, how is it possible for the individual soul to become liberated? By practical experience, one can see that when the soul is separated from the body has no real existence, and when the body is separated from the soul, one cannot perceive the existence of the soul. As long as the soul and the body are combined, we can understand that there is life. But when they are separated, there is no manifested existence of the body or the soul. This question asked by Devahuti of Kapiladev is more or less impelled by the philosophy of voidism. The voidists say that consciousness is a product of a combination of matter, and that as soon as the consciousness is gone, the material combination dissolves. And therefore, there is ultimately nothing but voidness. This absence of consciousness is called nirvana in Mayavada philosophy. Text 18. I'll do the Sanskrit first. Yatha as gandhasya of aroma, bhumehe of earth, cha and na no, bhavaha existence, vyatirekataha separate, apam of water, rasasya of taste, cha and yatha as tatha so, buddhehe of intelligence, parasya of consciousness or spirit, cha and. यथा गन्धस्य भूमेश्च न भावो व्यतिरेकतः अपां रसस्य च यथा तथा बुद्धे परस्य च यथा गन्धस्य भूमेश्च न भावो व्यतिरेकतः अपां रसस्य च यथा तथा बुद्धे परस्य च यथा गन्धस्य भूमेश्च न भावो व्यतिरेकतः अपां रसस्य च यथा तथा बुद्धे परस्य च. Translation: as there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma, or of water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. Purport: the example is given here that anything material has an aroma. The flower, the earth, everything has an aroma. If aroma is separated from matter, the matter cannot be identified. If there is no taste to water, the water has no meaning. If there is no heat in the fire has no meaning. Similarly, when there is want of intelligence, spirit has no meaning. Once again, Om Agyanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 3.27, 17 and 18. And as was mentioned before, Lord Kapiladev has spoken a lot. He's spoken about devotional service in 25. He's spoken about Sankhya philosophy in 26. And now he's speaking about material nature. So interestingly, this chapter has been given a different title by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And I believe he says, Kapila describes liberation. That's what the title of the chapter that's given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And of course, Srila Prabhupada has titled this as Understanding the Material Nature. So, a lot has been spoken. And now Devahuti, the question she has is, if matter and spirit are so intricately um, woven together, is separation even possible? Is liberation even possible? Is there a way that we can escape this material nature? The material nature has such a tenacious grip on the spirit soul, on the jiva. How is it even possible? So that's her question. Because she's saying, uh, you know, so Vishwanath Chakravarti, so Prabhupada has a certain take on this verse, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has a slightly different take. But they both point towards the same thing. So Srila Prabhupada in text 17, uh, let me just pull up that verse one more time. 327, 17. So Srila Prabhupada, Purusham Prakriti Brahman. So Prabhupada has translated this verse as, my dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? So the material nature, the Purusha, is being translated as spirit soul by Srila Prabhupada. Whereas Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he translates Purusha as the Supreme Lord. So the translation then becomes, Prakriti never gives up the association of the Lord. She is always with the Lord. And so therefore, so the Lord is eternal. Prakriti eternally accompanies the Lord. The Jiva is eternal. Then how is this separation between Prakriti and Jiva going to happen? That's that logic. Srila Prabhupada says, material nature never gives up spirit soul never, the Jiva, Baddha Jiva never gives up the material nature. And how is liberation possible? How is this separation possible? That is her question. And the analogy that my Bhakti Vaibhava teacher gave was if the boy is attracted to the girl and the girl is attracted to the boy, how are you going to separate them? So it's kind of like this eternally, we are in this together. People say like that, but fact is that the jiva, the baddha jiva, and the material energy are forever together. So some verses, so for example, in um, Brahma Samhita, we hear Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Bibharti Durga. So there also we see that the material world, Durga, there is Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, all of those creation, maintenance, destruction of all of those things happen. Then in Chaitanya Charitamrita, so that Shakti, all of those Shaktis are working under the direction of Krishna. Madhya Leela also says this similar thing. Krishnera Swabhavika Tina Shakti Pranati Chit Shakti, Jiva Shakti, Ara Maya Shakti. So again, the three Shaktis have been delineated here. There is the Chit, Jiva, and Maya Shakti, meaning the external, the the in between where the jivas are, and then the internal potency. So Krishna has all these Shaktis. He is the Shaktiman, and there are Shaktis that he has. We hear, right? Like Parasya Shakti Vividhaiva Shruyate Swabhavaki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. So just as the Supreme Lord is eternal, his energies are eternal, and wherever there is Shaktiman, the Shaktis are there. You cannot separate the Shaktiman from Shakti. We don't do that. Um, So that was one point. The point number one is the Lord is everywhere. So there are, I've heard that there are two things. There is Krishna and then there is Krishnas. So even though the material world, to us, it may seem like there is no creation, there is no God behind it. The fact is that it is His. We may not see it that way, but it is His. And that's what all these verses are telling us about Krishna. Secondly, um, we also hear if all of these energies are Krishna's and if we are bound by it, how do we come out of it? So we hear Bhagavad Gita verse, right? Daivihi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So Krishna says this Mai, this, the Guna Mai, this Mama Maya Duratya, this energy, this Maya, external energy, this my energy, it is very, very difficult to overcome. Duratyaya. How can you do that? Mam eva ye prapadyante, but who those are surrendered to me can easily cross beyond it. So I'll read a part of the purport from this verse, which is 7.14 Bhagavad Gita. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the living entity belongs to the eternal superior nature, right? But due to contamination with matter, the illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore Nitya Baddha or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned and at a certain date in material history. There is no way we can figure out when that happened. No one can trace out the history of his becoming condition at a certain date. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very, very difficult, even though that material nature is an inferior energy, because material nature is ultimately conducted by the supreme will, which the living entity cannot overcome. Inferior material nature is defined herein as the divine nature due to its divine connection and movement by the divine will. So, two things are clear. One, the jiva has this, is also has this nature of the Supreme Lord, Satchitananda, but because it is covered or it is bound by the illusory nature, there is no way for it to overcome it. So why are we even studying this, right? Like, if there is no way for us to overcome it, why bother? So for this, Srila Prabhupada writes in the next paragraph, he says this guna, the three modes, the word that is often translated as the three modes of nature, is also translated as a rope. So imagine you're tied by a rope. Guna is also rope. So a man that is bound to his hands or feet are bound by rope, he cannot free himself. But he can be freed by someone who is in an unbound state. So that who is an unbound person, the rescuer, he must be liberated. We are bound, but the rescuer must be liberated. So, Kapila Dev, Bhagwan, he says in 325:25, when the chapter on devotional service, he talks about Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha tajjoshanadashvapavargavartmani shraddharatir bhaktiranukramishyati. So he says, we are in this bound state, the pa varga, like we hear, pa is pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. We are eternally bound up. We have to work hard. That is the parishrama. We work so hard. Prabhupada gives this very pictorial depiction. He says, when the horse is working hard, there is foam that comes from its mouth. That is the peni. Then there is disappointment. I'm forgetting the word that he uses for ba. Then there is the bha, there is the bhayam. You're right, like, you worked hard such that there is foam coming out. There may be disappointment, but there is always this fear that you're going to lose all of it. Finally, when you think you have it all, ma mrityu takes it all away. So that is pretty much, it sums up our, conditioned life. But to go beyond the upper varga, the liberation, how does that happen? Satam Prasangan, through the association of the pure devotees. That is our only hope. Um, so, again, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says the first point is one must seek the association of the persons who are in Krishna consciousness and who engage in devotional service. Without such association, one cannot make advancement. So, again, just to summarize this point, The Lord is eternal, His Prakriti is eternal, our association with Prakriti is eternal, and so hence coming out of this is almost impossible. So, but that same energy of the Supreme Lord can help us to come out of it. So, how do we understand that? The often quoted analogy is electricity can be used to both heat as well as cool, right? So, the same energy that is Mahamaya, Durga, can act as Yoga Maya. And what is that variable? The variable is our attitude towards the Lord. So, in Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he quotes this in a song, Kalyana Kalpataru. He says, Amar samana hina nahi ye samsare asthira haye chi padi bhava para bare कुलदेवी योग माया मोरे कृपा कोरी आभरण संबरी बे कबे विश्वदारी. So, going down, tech in 5, Eda se janani kori, akaitavadoya vrindavane dehasthana tuma maya. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, the likes of such a lowly soul as me is not to be found anywhere else in the world. Thus, I have become most agitated due to falling in this vast ocean of material existence. O Yogamaya, when will you show mercy to me by lifting up the curtain of illusion with which you shroud the entire universe in your eternal form of Mahamaya? Sorry, you shroud the universe in your external form of Yogamaya. You are known as Kula Devi, the traditional worshipable goddess of all Vaishnava dynasties. I have heard of your glories and activities from Vedic literatures. You take all those souls who are averse to Krishna and bind them within the material world. To that person whose good fortune gradually dawns and allows him to again become favorably disposed to Krishna, you award him with our liberation and make him free from all grief and fear. O my dear mother, showing your causeless mercy to your servant, give me a place in Vrindavan, for you are Yoga Maya herself. Yoga meaning union, the internal energy. So here, Bhakti Vinod Thakur is telling the Mahamaya and Yogamaya are the same. One, Mahamaya draws us away from Krishna. The second aspect, Yogamaya, brings us closer to Krishna. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur, what is he saying? He's saying um, she can award us liberation. She can do that. But what is that thing that turns the switch? That is our attitude to Krishna. And how is that attitude going to change? That is where we hear Satam Prasangan, by association of the pure devotees, because they are unbound. They can take us from this pavarga to apavarga. So, last 5 minutes, I just will I was thinking it is amazing that uh, tomorrow is Panihati Chedadai festival, and it so matches with this particular theme. So here is Raghunath Das. So now I'm switching gears completely from Srimad Bhagavatam Bhagavad Gita. We are switching gears to Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Raghunath Das Goswami, who's the son of uh, Govardhan Majumdar, I believe he was a landlord or he's a tax collector, one of them. Uh, Extremely wealthy, Govardhan Majumdar and Hiranya Majumdar, extremely wealthy, and their only son Raghunath Das, he had no interest. He had tried many a times to escape, and every single time he would be brought back and locked up. In fact, there is a conversation that happens between uh, the father and the mother, Yoga Govardhan Majumdar and his wife. She says, our son, he can live like Indra, we have so much wealth. He can enjoy, and here he is wanting to run away. What do we do? So he says, there is nothing much we can do. But she says, no, no, we have to bind him up. And so many times it would happen that he would run, he would be brought back, the doors would be locked, and they did various things. And so many things happen, but mainly during this Panihati festival, the place is Panihati. What happens is Lord Nityananda comes, and Raghunath from a corner, he takes a peek at Lord Nityananda, and Nityananda brings him. He says, "Come here, you're like a thief. I need to give you punishment. You need to feed all these Vaishnavas, right?" And so he is elated because he has a lot of money. So with all of that money, he buys all the pots, all the chida, the poha. And because it is extremely hot, right now, June, it's muggy. It's just before the rainy season. So it's hot and humid and extremely uncomfortable. So he buys dahi and he mixes it. So it is said that everybody got two pots. One poha is mixed with yogurt, banana, sugar, and the other one yogurt mixed with condensed milk, I think. So everybody gets two pots. And so many people come. In fact, hearing, it's like our ISKCON festival. There is kirtan and there is prasadam. So it is just very ecstatic. So many people came. So then from the neighboring villages, everybody brought their pots, everybody brought their poha, everybody got the yogurt that they had, the condensed milk they had. So many people came. And I was hearing somebody say now, I don't know if it's accurate or not, like even denizens of higher planets, they came because they wanted to take part in this festival, to the point that it was like a sea of humanity. There was no place to stand. People were standing waist deep in Ganga. It was almost, and they were having this festival. So anyway, after this festival came, um, after this festival, Raghunath goes and prays to Nityananda Prabhu. He says, I am finding it so hard to come out of this. I'm almost like I'm bound up. I'm not able to give up my family, my relationships, the wealth, and all of those things. Is there a way I can attain the shelter of Lord Chaitanya? So, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela 6.141. So, Lord Nityananda, this is Lord Nityananda who's saying, Toma uddharite gauraila apane, chutila tomara yata vignadi bandhane. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaurahari, came here personally to deliver you. Now rest assured that all the impediments meant for your bondage are gone. स्वरूपेर स्थाने तो माँ करिबे समर्पणे अंतरंगा भृत्य बलि राखिबे चरणे. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will accept you and place you under the charge of his secretary, Swarup Damodar. You will thus become one of the most confidential internal servants and will attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. निश्चिन्तहनयाः आपनभवना अचिरे निर्विघ्ने पाबे chaitanya charana. Being assured of all this, return to your own home. Very soon, without impediments, you will attain shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the assurance that Nityananda Prabhu is giving Raghunath Das Goswami. So we can see, even though Raghunath had so many impediments, almost bound up. In his case, he is an eternal associate of the Lord. In our case, we are eternally bound up. But our hope and actually not hope, our only hope is to serve a person that is liberated. Our rescuer is unbound, and he or she has love for Krishna. He or she is engaged in pure devotional service. That person can then pull us out of this, or cut the ropes that are binding us, and then take us. So then we can attain the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I think that's what I wanted to say. Um, Let me read the translation one more time. So, text 17 and 18 from 27 chapter, Sri Devahuti inquired, my dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is their separation possible? As there is no separate existence of earth and its aroma, water and its taste, there cannot be separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. So her doubt is, it seems like matter and spirit are so, intertwined. Matter has a tight grip on the spirit soul, Jiva. Is there even a hope for liberation? Is it even possible? So that's her question. 19 and 20, she has further two questions, and then after that, Lord Kapila again will start to speak. So that's what I had to share. If Mataji, Hare Krishna, thank you for joining. If you have any comments.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I'm so glad I joined. I was surprised to see just the two of us. But I'm in the temple. I'm in the temple, so I joined late after the,
Thank you.
Guru. And yeah, but such a nice, wonderful class, Mataji. I mean, it's totally. Um, this is such a perplexity, right? I mean, being bound and being so attached to Prakriti. How are we ever going to get released? Now, of course, the good thing for some of us is that we have somehow gotten, come across some pure devotees, who give us their mercy. And yet, of course, for me, I mean, how much do I really um, receive that mercy? How much is my receptor open? I'm still so, so, um, so engaged, so involved, and it's like a quagmire that I'm in. So yeah, I mean, I guess we just have to continue to make the effort and cry for mercy, so that we can come out of this. Also, I loved your story Raghunath Goswami. I mean, it's always, similar. We are actually reading Narottam Das Thakur's life story as well, and
Mm.
similar situation. Rich parents, wonder. I mean, he could be a prince, but has no attraction,
Mm.
right? And just thinking of that, and especially Raghunath Das Goswami, later on, the renunciation that he gets into.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like even thinking of that scares me.
Mm.
Well, is that if that's what's needed? I mean, I don't think I'll ever get there. That kind of renunciation. And yeah, but yeah, that's what I was thinking, Mataji. And thank you for relating the story of Panihati festival and nicely talking about the verse.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, and I think you summarized the the takeaway message for me, crying out for mercy. There's just such deep attraction for sense enjoyment, knowing fully well. Sometimes I tell my kids, you know, y- like, for example, if they had to have to sit and study or something, we can see that that is good for them, but they have no attraction for it. They just want to play. We living entities, we know what is good for us, and yet there is no attraction. We just want to play with this material energy, right? Like we just want to be enjoying ourselves, and um, somewhere in the back of our mind, that the intelligence keeps telling us, but the it's just so enmeshed. What's our hope? Seems hopeless, but then, like you said, so that's the takeaway. We cry for mercy, and we stay alive in this process. Stay alive and stay with devotee association. Uh,
And yes, Mataji. Yeah. Fortunately, even though we have this whole sense enjoyment, but then we do regret it. we do later after the fact. Is like, why did I waste my time? Why did I do this? And so, yeah, so that's where, I mean, at least that realization somehow we've are able to sometimes, most of the time, that can be the impetus for crying out again
Yeah.
for the mercy. So, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंतकोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।